G'day everyone, I am AzureBlaze, and I feel the initial title screen for a game is often quite overlooked, which is somewhat ironic as it is generally the player's introduction to the game when first booting into it. In this new series I plan to do, I am going to analyse and discuss aspects of many different title screens from an assortment of games. Whether these aspects are intentional or not, I feel it would be fun to discuss them nonetheless, and at the end of each video I will place the title into a ranking list that will be updated throughout the course of the series. This will not include main or side menus however, as I want to keep it to the brief first impressions of the game. I decided to begin this series with Sonic Adventure 2's title screen, mainly because I was looking for a Sonic game with an interesting enough one to talk about, and I do not currently have Sonic Forces installed, which probably would have been my first choice. Therefore, jumping into it, I shall now discuss my analysis of Sonic Adventure 2's title screen. Starting off, I would like to discuss something that I think might come up a fair bit in this series, and that is the pre-title intro video that many games have. Whilst it does not usually directly link to the title screen itself, I think it would be good to point out when there is one and factor it in if needed. For Sonic Adventure 2, it has the quite well-known intro of Sonic and Shadow moving towards each other, whilst it introduces all the characters before having the hedgehogs cross paths in front of the moon, with it then cutting to the logo. Whilst there is a small loading screen in between, the logo almost links directly into the title screen, of which I think is a neat transition from introduction to the point where the player has agency over the game. This helps to set the tone and style that the rest of the experience can follow up on. Right before touching on the title screen, I would like to explain 3 points of criteria I shall use in the series going forward to help me analyse them. These 3 points are appeal, the style and look of the screen, consistency, whether the style and layout fit and match the rest of the game, and functionality, whether the screen is easy to navigate and works correctly. Most title screens will probably not have much to talk about when it comes to functionality, as the player generally will press one button before moving on to the menu. I more would like to discuss how it draws attention to what the player is meant to do to proceed into the main menu. Many games as well have their title screens and main menus as one and the same, and they can be talked about together in an overall package in future videos if the need arises. However, for Sonic Adventure 2, the title screen and menu screens are two separate entities, and therefore the main menu does not factor into this video. Much of Sonic Adventure 2's theming uses the colours of blue and red in conjunction with the concept of light versus dark, good versus evil, hero versus villain. Straight away, the title screen delivers on this concept, with a slightly faded and streaky colourful mural-like image of each of the stylized character portraits depicting the two teams in the game. The image scrolls in a vertical loop with each team placed on either side, the hero team on the left and Team Dark on the right. Each side is overlaid with a slight tint of their respective blue and red colours, of which meet in the middle and form a white tint. Whilst aesthetically this helps to divide the colours in a more natural manner, this could as well possibly be looked at as a way of symbolising the grey area tones that are depicted later in the story, more prominently by Team Dark. In between the teams are depictions of the Dark and Light Chao that are attainable through the Chao Garden. They help to further serve the notion of light versus dark, and having them centred both fills up the rest of the screen whilst continuing on with the possible symbolism of there being a grey area. For what I would guess is for extra visual flair, translucent bubble-like lights can be seen both dotted over the image and scrolling up in front of the image at a faster rate. They as well keep to the colour scheme plastered all over this title screen. Sitting front and centre are the logo of the game, with a blocky flashing black and white press start located directly below, as to draw players' attention in and show them what to do next. Further down, a small Sega logo is located bottom left, with a colourful blue to red gradient stroke surrounding it, further cementing the theme. After not pressing anything for a while, the screen will switch to a brief scene from the game, acting as a sort of demo reel for anybody watching. Whilst everything else from the title disappears when this happens, the flashing press start prompt stays, continuing to draw attention to itself. And lastly, to sort of round everything off, an instrumental rendition of the main theme, Live and Learn, plays over the top of the whole thing, giving it a sense of the action that will be present within the game. And now with that all out of the way, where does it fall within my criteria? Starting with appeal, the menu is very stylised and colourful. It uses itself to promote the game's story, themes and sense of adventure whilst looking good on its own right. For consistency, it introduces a recurring aesthetic throughout the experience and stays in line with ongoing menus and the artistic portrayal of the game. Finally, functionality. While stylised, the title is not overly visually noisy, Everything on screen can be interpreted, and the demo reel-like scenes further advertise to the user some aspects of the game. The bold flashing prompt to start the game works well in drawing attention to the next step the player must undergo to get into the experience. And to sort of sum the whole thing up, personally I would say this title screen, with its stylized design and consistency to both the aesthetic and tone of the game, does an excellent job in promoting the style of Sonic Adventure 2 and luring a player in to see what it is about. Quickly moving over to the list that I was sort of talking about earlier and where I'm going to put all the title screens after each episode. This is sort of what it will probably look like, and not exactly like this I'd imagine, because I'm not too big of a fan how this looks at the moment. It might change, it might not, I don't know. However, yeah, at the moment I didn't really need to show the list, I guess, because there's only one game. However, I at least felt like showing off what the general idea is going to be. It is going to be split up into 2 columns, therefore eventually if I get to the bottom on this side, then I can start on the next side type thing, like make it a little bit easier. However, yeah, that is sort of what I was getting at. I don't know whether to keep it sort of like this or not. I think it looks okay at the moment. However, in saying that, that is about it for this episode. I hope everyone enjoyed the first episode of this new series. I really enjoy making this because I really like analyzing title screens. I don't know why. Next time when I do it, it'll be on sort of the game that inspired this whole series and something I really, really want to do, basically. it's sort of what made this series come into being. However, I didn't think it was strong enough of a game to start the series off with, hence why I was looking for a Sonic game. And looking back at it, Sonic games, while they have some nice title screens, they don't really have huge ones that I can like dig into and analyze and all that sort of thing. And Sonic Adventure 2, I think, was probably the best case scenario. As I sort of said earlier in the video, Sonic Forces, I said, didn't I? Yeah, Sonic Forces. That one I think has an okay title screen that I could probably dig into as well, with like it having 2 versions of the title screen, where one version is like before you finish the game and the other version is after you finish the game, and it has like different meanings on it and everything like that. I think that title screen is pretty neat. Sonic Frontiers' title screen would be a 2-minute video probably max because it is very basic, and yeah, that sort of thing. However, yeah, regardless, hope everyone enjoyed nonetheless. Thank you for watching, and I shall be back in the next one. Cheers everyone!